Hey guys, Darcy here, and today we have an exciting one. The new sidechain feature supported in Luna. Let's get into it. All right, we're in Luna. We got a session set up to demonstrate how we're going to use sidechain. So we have an 808 up here, a kick here, and some keys here, okay? And so we can do sidechain in the ways that you expect. I'm just going to show you how you do that. So for anyone who's not familiar with sidechain, if you're new to recording or whatever reasons, basically it's using the signal from one track to usually duck the signal in another track. There are other interesting ways you can use it as well, but basically you're using the volume, the amplitude of one signal to change another signal in some other way. So the kick is going to be the center of our focus here. So first off, let's do a classic scenario where we have an 808 and a kick playing at the same time, and you want to duck the volume of your 808 so your kick comes through strong so that they're not competing as much. So what we're going to do on this track, we have the focus view over here on the left. In the utility drawer, we have sidechain input. So we're going to click on that. At the top, we see the insert, which is essentially what actual insert in your track you are going to pass the sidechain through. And it obviously has to be an insert that supports sidechaining, okay? That could be an AU instrument as well, or AU insert as well. That could be something from UAD if it's built to support it, such as the API console. So let's do that first. Let's grab the console and let's throw that up in here. So that comes in, and we can see here that we have a bunch of things within our API console. If you are not familiar with this, go check that out. I got videos on that. But we see here at the bottom, we have dynamic sidechain is on, and we can now turn our compressor on. We're going to use our compressor for this, okay? So we're going to go back to that sidechain. We're going to select the API console as a thing we're going to put the signal through to, and we can see that it's now turned on, and we can choose what input we want our source for the signal to come through as. So we're going to choose our kick for this, okay? Now let's play the whole thing for a quick second. We're not going to actually do anything. I just want you to hear what's being played. So. And I forgot to set it up in my headphones so I could hear it. You guys can hear it. So let me just do that real quick, and we'll go do this again. You get the idea. You can also see the signal is coming through the sidechain. One thing that's nice is you can also trim your sidechain. This could be super handy if, let's say, the signal is not loud enough or too loud, and you just need a little bit more to go into whatever you're sidechaining in. Super simple and nice feature there. As well, we can also solo, so we can hear just that signal on its own. This essentially will double our kick if we do it. So let's hear it so you know what I'm saying. Essentially, it's just playing the signal twice on top of itself, so it gets louder. So, all right, so now we actually want to do some sidechaining. So we'll go over here to our console, and we're just going to turn up our threshold. This compressor is pretty simple out the gate, so we'll just turn it up, and we'll start getting some sidechaining action. That simple. Basically, add what we want it to go into, select our source down here, and start turn on our compressor, and boom, we're ready to go. So let's actually solo in on the 808 so we can hear the effect. Right, straightforward. Now let's also mess with their trim. You get the idea there. You can use that how you need it. So great, we have a very classic snare. Let's listen to it back. Right, obviously our kick is coming through hard. There's no competition there. Now we can also go to another instrument and use the same source. So let's go to our piano. We're going to add the console. If I click the right area, so we add the console in, right? We're going to turn on our compressor here. Cool. We'll go back to our sidechain input. We're now going to select the console. We're going to select the kick again, and we're going to do the same thing. So you can see I'm just messing with the compressor. We're putting the ratio a little harder so it compresses a little bit harder. We put the release a little bit longer so we get more of an effect, and we can just, mess with it how we want to mess with it, okay? So let's listen to this back. Now, I'm not exactly sure what track I'm making here, but you get the idea from a demonstration perspective. So we can also use AU plugins for inserts as well. So let's switch up and use the Fab Filter Pro Q3, and we'll use that one as well. So what we're going to do is we bring that up. We're going to go back to our sidechain input. We're going to switch that to Pro Q3. We can see that it's in dark black text, so that means it's supported. So we select that. Now we've soloed our piano here, so we're just gonna play the source through and get a sense for things. So we can see that by default we have our sidechain here selected, and we can see that the actual two instruments playing on top of each other. So now let's grab a frequency. So right now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make a dynamic EQ selection. So first off, I have to just get the dynamic EQ on an area, right? And so when we have the settings for this, we can click this auto button, and we can click this button, and that's going to turn it into using the sidechain. So watch what happens. By default, it's compressing on the piano. Not a very strong sounding effect that we're getting here, but we are making pumping dynamic moves based on the actual kick. So this may not be very relevant for this instrument, but it may be relevant for another instrument where there's a competing frequency and you just need to duck it, but only when that other instrument is playing. Maybe that's more applicable in the 808. But regardless of this sounding good, this is proving the point that essentially we just switched out what our insert is. We come over to the plugin, we figure out how that one uses its side chaining, and then we can do very interesting and unique things depending on what plugins we're using. Now, just to kind of prove a point, if we throw a plugin that currently doesn't support, I'm trying to type 1176 here, that doesn't support the side chaining, then essentially when we go to select our insert, it just shows as it being not highlighted, so therefore you can't select it, and therefore you're not able to use it. And obviously, hopefully UAD will add sidechain support into these plugins. There's quite a lot of them, so I'm sure if that's something they're doing, it's going to take some time. But regardless, for the ones that you do have sidechain support right out of the gate, you got the API console with a Luna extension, and obviously there's probably tons of AU plugins that you have that you're ready to use out the gate. But overall, that's how you use sidechaining. You can use multiple sources at the same time. It's pretty straightforward to use. You can trim the sound, you can solo the sound, you can disable it. And one last thing before I forget, at the bottom here of the sidechain options, you have a link left and right input levels. This essentially means that if you had a signal where the left and right sounds are actually coming in at different amplitudes at different times, for instance, like this piano here, if we were to blow this up, you can see that at different times your left and right signal are actually at different volumes. That it would kind of mono sum them, so that way essentially it only sees it as one input signal. So if it's this peak is loud and this peak's loud right afterwards, it would just kind of stay loud the whole way through. And you can link those together if that's something that's more applicable for your sidechaining action. But that's really just coming down to your specific use case. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. If you found this helpful, let me know that in the comments. If there's something else about sidechain you want to know, let me know that as well. And otherwise, have yourself a good day. Peace, y'all.